I'm Piss 4400. Welcome to another exciting episode of Piss 4400's Think Tank. Whatever the fuck's on my mind, put out the same way as that blood your titty bitch gets when she has a goddamn motherfucking period. The wee hour and your motherfucking tea hour, sex hour, dong hour, the fuck hour you got. That's right, I'm doing a Gorgeous George video. But it's not the main Gorgeous George video. But it's just some things that regarding myself contacting this Gorgeous George and the things that I was asking of George and that video response to him. I want to tell the people at home that though I do feel sorry for the man, but from my own experience, and I'm not basing off of nobody, but my own experience, there's some hypocrisy within this man, hypocritical things. One of the things that I bothered with this George person, one of the main reasons I bothered with this George person that got me bothering with him was because he talked about issues over the internet, cyberbullying, and things like that. Bragged about being a private investigator, and he bragged about it like he said he was a licensed private investigator, and he was tracking people down that was bothering him, and claimed he called their parents and stuff like that. Um, Things like that. The parents part I kind of find as a joke, but the other stuff that he was saying, you know, it kind of intrigued me. So I wanted to contact George solely, one, to get some service or maybe some help on what to do, like legally, like how to find how much private investigating services cost if he provides it for people, and two, if he doesn't provide it, how much like would he like suggest certain ones based on my area of his expertise, like any private investigators that could help me based on my area. So I've been, like I mentioned, I've been going through some shit on my YouTube channel, and it's just annoying. um I don't really think this man is a really professional licensed private investigator. um I even I and that wasn't really that wasn't the reason why I really emailed him, started contacted him earlier in September. I started contacting him because I want to hear a little more detail of the stuff he went through, so maybe I can get some ideas as to how he could help me if he is a licensed private investigator for service, or what kind of service would he refer me to if he can't help me, like things he may research and send as a link or something of list of services that may be cheap for me to pay, because I've been impersonated. My real name, my real last name, and my identity was impersonated by some people and shit. And during the course of me emailing him and asking for these things, as well as doing a video about it, I had never got a response. Now, I mentioned this before, but I'm mentioning it in a more in-depth way because this man, the way he advertised himself as being a private investigator, I took him as a literal person. But after seeing how he responded, not responded to me, but responded to foolishness like my videos and my opinion, and how he reacts to things that are not even that are not even harmful, but that are really relatively harmless, and just basically emailing me not because of my emails, but just for the hell of it, because of his own self egotistical interest. It kind of boils down to the fact that this idiot says um, says a lot to me in my mind. That he morally after himself, and if it and if he really had the red carpet, and if he had it all his way, it'd be all about himself. So one of the things that I'm gonna say off the bat is I don't think this guy is a private investigator. I don't think he is no profession of private investigators. And I see investigators on TV, and not so much on TV. I hear about them. They got equipment and things that sometimes the FBI carries and stuff or whatever that just is a lot of money, worth hundreds and thousands of dollars. Now, if this man has a income that is not in the standards of a high class income, and he has a house that is like a $2,000 payment, how could you be a professional investigator where you are tracking down and making sure things? Because a licensed private investigator, they have a lot, just as much authority than police departments have. They can have authority to trace anywhere and any place as far as the internet, and there's no way in fuck that that this guy is a licensed private investigator, because they got tools where if you have a Facebook account, for instance, and if someone is doing shit that they ain't got no business, which I don't have a Facebook account, I'm just saying for an example, they could trace and find out the exact location, and then through sources that we don't know as far as tactics as the average man, they can find out where you live, your full name and number, and identify you. Even if you're doing shit on YouTube and don't share your real name, your phone number, or nothing, they can trace it with the right authority, and that's the benefit of being a private investigator. Kind of like if you are a nurse practitioner, and some doctors do get jealous about this. A practitioner has just as much of authority to give out prescription medications, to give diagnosis as the doctor, even though they're not doctors. They're nurse practitioners. They're basically practice of doctors, of being doctors, but they have just as much as of a license and right. And some doctors get jealous by that. They rather for you to see a doctor than a practitioner, which a practitioner has just as much authority. Just like a private investigator has just as much authority, a licensed one now. If he is an investigator, I'm telling you right now, he probably does it for his own skin, and he also probably does it in a way that that is of his own egotistical interest. And I'm gonna tell you something. If if what I saw in that one video when he's shown somebody's number and information, which you know, which which from what I looked at on the screen looked like he just signed up on a website where you can type in names of people and find addresses that they live at, which that's something that anybody can do. You don't even have to be a private investigator for that shit. I even done that shit before, but not for the reasons that this man done that same shit. You get what the fuck I'm saying? So, and yes, I'm riding on an electrical chair because I couldn't sleep because I have a terrible toothache and it's driving me crazy. And so I'm just playing with my mom's chair for the fucking hell of it and doing this video at the same time. This ache is so, it's killing the hell out of me, I'm telling you. Anyway, this gorgeous George fella, there's a lot of things that just don't mount up to a hill of beans. And then he talks about in some other video that he was with this psychic Brenda woman, um, want to take action against cyber stalking and bullying, which I am all for that. But this man is morally after himself. And this psychic Brenda woman didn't start that shit until she, the fuck, um, had someone make an account with her name, her real first, her real name, with her name and last name on it, and then she got mad enough where she, the one that wanted to start this cyberbullying prevention. Prevention. You gotta excuse me for my pronunciation because my tooth. I have a terrible toothache on my left side, and it's killing the fuck out of me. And it's so bad that I don't wish it for anybody, not even my enemies. It's so bad. Anyway, um, and first let me say that this Brenda woman I think is a total joke. I don't even think, it's so, I think there's some screws loose with that woman. The psychic Brenda woman. I mean, first of all, she looked like she's kind of weird. She looked like she doesn't make any sense. And second of all, she just somebody that look like that don't have no purpose, but they give you a bunch of shit and lies just for a quick few bucks. I don't even think she's a real psychic. I think she's just a show. But if she is a real psychic, then I'll be damned. But I don't think so. I think she was full of shit. If she was gorgeous George's supporters, because it's just something about that woman just isn't right. Like she just, and like they said in that encyclopedia post or whatever that this Brandon guy or whoever made it, she just more like a washed up old fart. To put it that way. Then you have another character which doesn't seem to make sense in the picture by the name of Matt Wilson. I don't know nothing about him, but I just heard about him recently. I watched the radio show of Gorgeous George where he was talking a phone interview with this Matt Wilson character, and this Matt Wilson character was talking about how this Brennan dude was how he trolled Sean Brennan and all that other shit, and then just things that would make George happy regarding Sean Brennan. It was nothing but Sean Brennan, and this guy was from England, and according to my research, he was one of the goons, which is a group of people that troll, I think, Gorgeous George, and I think other people. I'm not quite sure. If I mispronunciate, I apologize. But he then gave up that, claiming that things were getting a little bit out of hand with things and whatever. I don't really think that Matt Wilson is in that support of that Gorgeous George fella. But if he is, then, well, he is. But I just don't think water ain't gonna hold in that cup for long. But I think the only reason why, and I'm getting a premonition, I think the only reason why that guy is probably supporting George because maybe he was butthurt over something that went on between his previous friends like Sean Brennan and some other people. Because according to a video I've seen recently that was posted a few days ago by Mr. Brennan, that this man was butthurt by some of the people on Facebook, and so there was a little anger stirred a little fallout between him and the other people, and I think it was some woman that was involved because one of the videos I watched said that he was trying to hit on some woman on Facebook, and a woman rejected him, and so he gets mad and starts sending her a bunch of emails and calling her names and shit. So I don't think Matt Wilson is really support Gorgeous George. I think he's just using that as an scapegoat to really try to get back at people that probably did him dirty or some shit, or probably the fuck he just probably sucked dick and whatever. I don't know. Retaliation, not by concern. That's the best way to put it. That's the word. Out of retaliation, but not by concern regarding George. And then Brenda, I think she's just full of shit. So the rest is just Gorgeous George. He takes the time to respond to the negative stuff. He even emails me about this feed I put on saying that it'll be a while before I do a review of this guy's show and stuff. After I put that on, he emails me. Now, I didn't tell George to email me, but by him emailing me in the way he did, I can tell that this guy checks my channel frequently. He checks and see if anything new's gonna come up because he knows that he has somebody that is level headed but has a disagreement and might be somewhat a little bit of a threat as far as ego. And I don't care about his ego. I mean his ego, nor his whatever you want to call it, persona or some shit. I mean, freedom of speech is freedom of speech, and I don't think freedom of speech should stop at the United States. I think it should stop all over the world. I don't give a fuck if it was Africa or Nigeria, for all I care, or England, whatever. But I think Matt Wilson is just supporting George just to find a way to get back at some people that he probably fell out with, like Sean and them, and that was it. So, it's all a matter of time before light comes through and the truth start coming out. But getting back to George's professional career, from my understanding, there was a 1998 clip of Gorgeous George. A caller called and asked George, "What do you do for a living besides the show?" He says he was a bartender and a courier, which I think he might be a paper person, or I don't know what do you mean by courier. But when I think of courier, I think like maybe a paper man, a guy that either delivers papers or maybe has something to do with the newspapers or something. But that's all he said. Now he didn't mention anything about being a private investigator, a licensed private investigator. In fact, from what I understand, a licensed private investigator would have a job at their practice for years. If this guy thinks that he's a private investigator by going on a website and typing some names and legally look up someone's phone number and address, and that's your investigation, you're full of shit. Because a private investigator does things that are above the amateur average. If you will, if you know the fuck I'm saying. So, but I like that video that Brendan made though. The part I like about the girl that um was rejected, that the girl that rejected Matt Wilson, that Matt Wilson got butt hurt on. She did look pretty hot though. Um, I wonder if it's. I wonder if that woman. I wonder if that woman was one of the people that been commenting on my YouTube channel. I don't know, but she did look a little hot though. I mean, with the black hair and nice body. But but satanic symbols. But other than that, she's a hot woman. I don't even know the fuck she is. I just looked at some pictures that Matt Wilson compared fat trolls to. And let me tell you something, too. I was called fat several times, and it doesn't really bother me. And I think it'll probably bother someone with a low self esteem. But when you get used to who you are or what you deal with in life, that's where it boils down to. This guy, if someone calls him fat, he'll just treat him like they are the worst person on earth. Gorgeous George Alexander Garrett, and he says that he doesn't get cocky and arrogant in real life. Well, there are recordings that I listened to over that encyclopedia post that Sean had pulled up some prank about pull a prank pretending that he was a dude that needed to be picked up from a local airport or some shit. And I think when George got there or somewhat, he told him who he was, and he kept on running off at the mouth. Now Brendan just only thing he did was laugh, but the whole time George kept talking, and the more Brandon said something, the more George was talking, saying, "Listen, man, listen, bitch. Why are you calling me and doing stuff like that? I'm getting paid under my dime and stuff like that." To me, if I was a victim of that kind of prank, I would just say, why would you call somebody over something that I'm getting paid for when I could have dealt with somebody else, you piece of shit? And I would just hung up after I said that statement. I wouldn't be going on and on and on. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I couldn't give a fuck if someone laughed at it. I wouldn't go on and on and on like this George did. This George went on and on where it lasted, I think, 5 minutes or some shit. But the most really lasted 5 minutes because Sean was giving him the runaround at the taxi service. And as for that radio station, it appears that he works there, but it's not an actual radio station. It's a car dealer place. It's a car place. Hold on for a second. My mom's probably gonna check on me. See how I'm doing. Sorry about that. I was interrupted by somebody. I had to pick up the phone. That's what I had to do. Anyway, getting back to this man, George. A lot of things that don't really line up with what he's saying, and I do see the fact that he does get pranked. I do see the fact that he's a victim of problems and similar problems that I had during my YouTube channel endeavor. Um, I believe that as a fact. Uh, there was even a recording I listened to that regarded a person that called his house and was saying things like, we got videos on the internet, and all of a sudden George was going off the handle once again as he did with the first recording I listened to, and it was like telling him, kept cursing at him, and this was like, no, and instead of just hanging up on the guy, that called him. He just kept on running off at the mouth, and basically, the caller just got what he wanted. You know, pretty much. So, and obviously, I think the phone calls that he gets when he says that he's being called at work, he's talking about that cab job. I figured out. I said he's talking about that cab job that he works at, and then I mentioned about insurance doctor, which I thought was a literal doctor. And I found out that he ain't a literal doctor. It's a car company called the Insurance Doctor. Watch 2002 clip, and I said, "That's the insurance doctor." I thought it was like a medical doctor. I mean, I felt bad for a man that make a big deal out of a car company that they was getting prank calls from that have nothing to do with George, which I think the insurance company could take care of themselves regarding though that business. So what the fuck's the point? So that's what it boils down to. So, and if anybody watched that video and didn't know any better, they would have really thought it was an insurance company like medical wise or doctor, medical doctor, not no car company. So when I found this out, I kind of laughed a little bit because I thought it was sort of funny. Um, so I'm sorry that you have to see me moping around on this stupid chair, playing with it. Actually, it's my mom's chair. She uses it when she feels like it, but I just play with it while I'm doing this video. I can walk around, so just playing with it. Just my teeth been hurting. My tooth been hurting me, and I've been up all night, so I can get no sleep. So. But this guy, as I said before, responds to trolls or responds to people that does stuff about him. But if it's good criticism or bad criticism, or with a good purpose or with a bad purpose regarding criticism or opinions, and he just he responds and reacts to every little thing. Now I find that this man looks at my channel to see if I put anything about him and stuff. And my videos don't contain his picture. My videos don't contain any clips of him whatsoever. So there's no excuse for him to do anything on YouTube. Um, but I am thinking about just for the hell of it, because this guy Brennan did a video response to a video I had that I took off because it was not to my standard. I was thinking about taking the video that Sean made and put it on my channel. That way it could be on both channels, my channel and his. Because I figured if he's addressing me, Piss 100, why not put that video that he addressed me on that channel? And it's not nothing bad. I mean, I didn't find nothing wrong with it. He was reading comments and stuff, and it pertained to my video and talking about talking about copyright. He does, there's some people do have a point though. When you be playing them songs over the radio, when you be playing those musics, you're actually critiquing somebody else's work. You're talking about people taking videos off your account and stealing them. Like they're so important to you in a way that you have to, um, like they're worth a lot of money or some shit, which they ain't worth anything. But my point is that what the world um, is in this guy's head where he thinks he has this power. Um, thing of it is, uh, there's a lot of things that um, don't hold water with this man. And I know he's probably going to respond to me, and I don't really care because I don't really bother with people that just are like this. You know, I will say this: I was once like him. Uh, I'm gonna tell you a small story, and it'll be short. I did a project years ago. It was a paint job on a game system that I once had. Now, to me, I didn't find nothing wrong with it because basically it was the best I could do. So I posted on the forums. I had people talking about me like a dog. They say, man, that thing's a piece of shit. And I painted that system white. And I had people attack me. Well, they were criticizing me. And then the ones that tried to help me and suggested things, I took it as criticism. Well, I took it as an attack. I took it as an insult. And I was a complete jackass at that time where I got mad and start saying shit. And I ended up banned from that site um, because I was exactly like this guy. Took it too personal. But then yet, but then yet at the same time, the people, some things that the people did wasn't bright either. But the way I took it, I should have took it in a way that hell, that's their opinion and that's it. And if anyone could suggest better, that would be great. But instead of me doing it like that, I ended up responding in a way that I said, "You guys are full of shit. This is a highly modified system, painted white, and all that." And next thing I knew, I was getting the same similar people that this guy George was getting. And this was way before I even had a YouTube channel. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. And you know, during a time that I wasn't used to YouTube criticism, like someone thinking you're an idiot or a moron, because it used to bother me, that stuff. But I said, when you deal with things and when you first walk into something, whether it's medication, surgery, or a particular job like the army, you gotta expect to get anything and everything. As long as you're getting help and support, that's the best thing you can do. And there were some people that were going to help me and support me, but I was such a jackass at that point. I They just turned off completely. They said, every time we criticize him, he just gets all mad and angry. That's exactly why I'm focusing on this man. One of the reasons why I focus on this man, as well as the things he mentioned about the cyberbullying, the things that he mentioned about him being a private investigator, which I was emailing him in hopes to get information from him. Because certainly, if I was a private investigator and if I was doing videos about things like cyberbullying, stalking, or whatever, and if someone emailed me and if I related to their situation, I certainly, if I couldn't help them, I would certainly refer them or recommend information, like do some research, send them links online based on their area if I couldn't help them, just shit like that. But by his by him not responding and by him sending just pointless emails lead me to the place where this man is just completely and utterly full of BS. And so that's all the fuck I have to say. Piss 4400. This is Piss 4400's Think Tank. I am aching really bad. You don't want to be me right now. Whatever the fuck's on my mind. The same way as that blood. Bitch gets me. She has a goddamn motherfucking period. If it's your wee hour like my time, the time is now 5:06 a.m. or your morning, your afternoon, evening, your night, your midnight, your wee hour, and your motherfucking tea hour, dog hour, or the fuck hour you got. It's a big difference between constructive criticism in a way that will help somebody and criticism that meaning to hurt somebody. And like I mentioned that in that small story that I told about a system I worked on, and I mentioned about people and stuff and things like that. You know, I was similar to George in these things, and I'm just speaking to GDMFT, which means goddamn motherfucking truth. I see all the goddamn motherfucking later. And keep in mind, for those that are listening and watching, like George or anybody, I'm making this story and telling it. It's not a made up story, but I'm telling the story and realizing the error of my ways at that form that I was at once. Because one, it was true, and two, that's really what my thinking is with or without people influencing me. I know George likes to get off by saying that other people influence people to think a certain way. He talked about a woman by the name of Tori Baker and said something about, "Oh, I found your mother." And I'm like, that woman's 23 years old. I can find somebody's mother, and they're 23 years old, got their own place, probably has that man involved in a relationship matter, the man that sings with her. So I'm like, you know, nonsense. Anyway, I see all the goddamn motherfucker later. Thank you for watching.